I'm on my YouTube. I would say you want to bam bam. You want to shave with the big boys.
Okay, I think we're alive.
Okay. Um, on the something it doesn't. Okay, it says watch live now. Let
Yeah,
me see.
I think we're alive. And I don't know why I'm
Awesome.
not okay. Am I clear? To be
You're
sure.
clearer than it looks on my laptop. So yeah.
I do pẹ̀lẹ́ Ọlọ́run.
Yes. So
I do pẹ̀lẹ́ Ọlọ́run. All right, so
yeah.
I'm sure people were wondering why we wearing Christmas hats. Well, Christmas is an European concept, so
Did your four fathers
no father.
celebrate Christmas? Oh my god.
Hi, Ofure.
Hi, Frey.
Ofure saying hi.
Ah, Ife,
You
man
know,
of God.
forget eh? Hi,
I
forget eh?
I know him.
All right. Let me get the video ready. I was just hoping that they don't delete the video before today. I don't know. I don't know why I thought they were going to delete the video anyway.
That's true. We didn't download it. We just left it where it was.
Okay. Because it crossed my mind. I was like, what if these people delete the video before Monday? There's no show. Hold on. So hi everybody.
Hi,
Um,
Ayo. How you doing?
if you're online, let us know where you're from. If you're in the European country, or you're in Africa.
I'm Rika.
But Daniel, you're ready for us today. My note is here. I'm ready to write too. I'm ready to receive all that you have for us today.
I am also ready to receive what you have for me. My heart is full. Oh my
Sorry for
gosh.
the
All
delay,
right.
guys. We should have started now. We're just waiting for Pastor Nelson, who happens to be 10 or a couple of minutes late, sharp. So, yeah, nice coming. Someone is asking comments, Daniel.
I can see it comment. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. PNI is come. Oh, you can see the comments on the YouTube, not on
No, I can see it on the
the.
restream. I can see it on the restream.
Okay. I'm the one behind the back end.
Oh, you can't see it?
I can see from.
Yeah. Yes, I can see it also from the back end as well.
Oh, okay, from the back end. Okay. I thought it
Yeah,
was from
yeah.
YouTube directly.
No, I have that as well, just in case something happens, like last
Don't
time.
worry, there was a liar. Not
Is
today. Not today.
it?
All right. So,
Yeah.
is it
Big
Wala for
wala,
you? Get
oh,
Christmas.
big
Big
wala.
Wala.
Oh.
I was so happy when I got this hat because it just reminds me of the Europeans like.
For you're looking for trouble. Oh my gosh.
All right. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I think we can put up the video and let's
okay.
see.
Let me put
Yeah,
up the video then.
yeah. We have disclaimer B for today.
Yes.
Few
We did.
disclaimers. Yes. Few
I think
disclaimers.
I think Nelson is already okay. It's not yet. It's not here yet.
Hmm.
You'll be surprised how much scholarship has actually gone into this topic. You know about Christianity before
Hmm.
pre-colonial times. You get what I'm saying? There was a book I came across,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh wow,
What's the
people they
book?
people they people they study. Let me
Ah,
look.
for sure.
I'm coming.
For sure. For
Come-
sure.
it's by this guy. I don't know if you can see my screen. I have
Yeah, I
to
can
share
see
my
the
screen.
YouTube now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I want to show you another one. By this guy,
Oh,
and this is
okay.
the title of the book: A
African
Multitude
theology.
of
Oh,
Peoples.
okay.
multitude of people.
Yeah.
Let me open it. Yes,
Engaging
a
in.
multitude of people were engaging in ancient Christianity in global identity. So
Wow.
it was focusing on
Wow.
Christianity in Africa before
Yeah.
um before Europeans came. And we talk
Interesting.
about some of the things I learned,
Yeah.
some of the things I learned from just
Yeah.
going through the book.
Yeah.
And
I think
hi
the
Abisola.
one I want to read is it's actually the opposite. It's called The Next Christendom by Christopher Jenkins. So
Okay,
this one is about Christianity now in quote a post-American or post-European society. So now you know,
society.
of course, even though Christianity largely came from those regions, but it's not really the case now. And so we see
Yeah.
Christianity largely in South America and Africa and also that book focuses on the spread of Christianity today in those countries. So that's what I wanna read next year as well. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Hi, Abby.
we have many books to be reading.
Ah, my brother. If we cast our
You
book list,
know, one day I was watching Doctor Strange again, and you know that scene where Doctor Strange was sleeping and his astral form was reading. I
yeah.
forgot how I wish this thing was possible.
Honestly, on.
How I wish this thing was possible.
Oh my God, so many
It would
books,
just save me so many stress, so many books.
so
But
many
at the end of the day,
books.
you can't read it. I think that's why uh, people have specialties. Okay, I won't expect some people to be vast in this area,
Yeah,
and I
like
won't
I don't
expect
think
people to be vast in
William
another.
Lane Craig. I don't think African
Thank
theology,
you.
for instance, is one of his
There's something
specialties.
that
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah. So while you
exactly.
might
So
know
just know your place.
generally, like to a good extent, at least to an extent you can converse on, you might not be a specialist in all of
Yes.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I posted in WhatsApp that
We're
qualified,
live, right?
but I don't think
Let me do that. Let me do that. Hi
okay.
everyone. If you could take a moment to also do that, that'd be awesome. Just let people know we're live. We're live. Let me see. I have to get the link.
Daniel, hope you're seeing Spider-Man No Way Home again.
My brother, I would probably I'll probably when I saw your clips, if okay, we must not do spoilers. People will leave this this call.
No, no spoilers.
When
This
I
is no
saw the
spoilers
clips
zone.
you
This is no
posted,
spoilers zone.
I'm like,
Mm,
I should probably watch it again. I should probably watch it again. Should probably
yeah,
watch it again.
definitely.
Ah, it is
Hi,
well.
hi, great. Hi, Whitney.
Hi, Great. Hi, Whitney. Hi, Esther.
Sorry for the delay. We're waiting for. He's a pastor now, so we have to wait for the man of God. Anyway, Daniel. Before we go ahead,
Yeah,
so I'm sure you've seen the video. So what are the thoughts generally before
on the video.
we? Yes.
Yeah, okay, generally, right, before we start to go into any
Mm.
specific, I think one of the first things that I want, you are sipping tea. Emoji, you didn't tell me.
It's cold water. It's cold water. It's cold. I wanted to get popcorn as we're watching this thing because yeah, just for the
Man,
fun of it.
I have
But I
chow
said, let me not be
in
extra.
case I want to
Hey, you have chow. I have water. So then why me?
Uncle
Actually,
Pray,
because
we
it's
see you.
Harmattan. It's because it's Harmattan. That's why. And
I
everywhere is
see.
dry. So
I see.
I want to stay hydrated.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't know
like
go
I was
back there.
saying, generally I think one thing that everyone should realize is that this is not we're not here to, let's say, shame Falz or shame any of those people who are talking. It has
Yeah.
really little to do with them as it has to do with the things that were said, right? I think one of the things people need to realize when it comes to having intelligent conversations is to separate the person from the argument.
From the
Because I
arguments. Yeah.
disagree with you doesn't mean I don't like you, right? Or it doesn't mean you're
Mm.
not good in certain other areas that I'll probably even agree with you on. So it's not a this is not Daniel Inni and Pinels against versus Falz. This is objective Christianity versus whatever was said in that argument. I think that's one thing we should see. So as we start to watch the video, please don't insult or don't say, these people are
Yeah,
nah,
yeah, shoot,
nah,
stupid,
nah,
things
nah.
like that.
That's not
Yeah,
what we're here to do. I think another thing generally is more and more, the more you start to learn about how to defend your faith and all of that, you start to realize that everything is rooted in the resurrection. I know we usually talk
mm,
about both of us a lot, but if the resurrection is false or more, we don't have a ground to stand on. And that's what
stand
we're
up
going to
on.
start
Yeah,
to see. Pretty much every Christian attack or argument rises and falls on the resurrection. Pretty much everything. So without getting into any details, we'll start to see as we watch. But those were the two major things I think that stood out to me as we're watching. How about you now?
well, for me, when I started watching it, I was like, I expected more from Falz because
Yeah.
I mean, is
Nah, it's terrible
is an
arguments. Yeah.
intellectual person.
Yeah.
Exactly, terrible
Terrible
arguments that I
arguments.
felt like if you want to use this argument against Christianity, you must cut across every thing
Mm,
or every areas Western or Europeans have influenced um, us as a
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
For example, I was expecting them to have the podcast in Yoruba or Igbo. I
Since
mean,
she's
they shouldn't
from
have the
Ogun,
podcast in English
exactly.
since he's from Ogun. It's
Yeah.
just, and I think it's just a bias to Christianity.
Yep.
People are
Yep.
trying to put a wedge that isn't there against Africanism and being an African rather and Christianity,
Mm,
as though you're betraying your people
yeah.
if you believe in
Yeah.
Christianity. But like we'll go into it,
Yeah. I would say that this is getting
Christianity.
into, but go on. Go on. Yeah.
Like, mm, mm, mm. That's not there.
Yes.
But
Because
I just think Christianity needs to be judged based on Christianity, like on its own 2 feet.
on
Like,
yeah.
mm, mm,
I think
mm,
what
mm,
what basically reli- religion and culture,
mm,
how they intersect should be properly
mm.
understood, and people need to realize that every religion makes truth claims. So when you're going to evaluate a religion, anyways,
Oh,
you're going to
someone is saying something. And Ella is
yeah.
saying, can you play the Falz video for those that haven't seen it?
Oh,
Well,
you need
yes,
go
we're
ahead.
going to
Tell them how we're going to do.
watch.
Yeah.
So the idea is like we're going to play the video, then we'll pause after a while, then we'll give a commentary or you know. Funny enough, when I watched through the video, there were some things Falz said I kind of agree with.
Same here.
I was like,
Same here.
even a practice wise, so I agree with him on some things. It's the truth now.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch the videos. It's one video. We're going to watch the video, pause for a while, let Daniel or Pastor Nelson, who is probably on his way to join us, watch and give a comment, then we'll go ahead. Hopefully, we'll try to finish the video today. I doubt we'll be able to finish the video today because the video is long and I'm sure everybody has something interesting to say. So that's what we're going to do. I think we should just start, and once P. Nelson joins us,
Yeah.
we'll just go ahead from there.
So
All right.
grab your popcorns.
One,
Let me fast forward to
the head boy of the Sorosuke High School. Don't you know? The chief.
let me know if the audio is echoing, Daniel. Can you hear the audio?
I can hear it on my end, but I'm not listening on YouTube. So I think it's so guys that are listening, let us know if
Okay,
the
guys that
audio
are
was
listening on
fine.
YouTube, yeah,
The chief in charge of the Sweet
the
Boy
audio from the video.
Association.
That is it.
The number one barrister lawyer in the house.
Exactly.
Don't you know him?
All right.
His name.
All right, let me pause and wait for their response.
Yeah,
So we'll go
how's
ahead.
it audio end, guys?
Is it loud? Is
Is it fine?
about what sort?
Yeah. Okay, said
Okay,
it's
they said
fine.
the
Okay,
audio is
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
The
okay.
audio is good. All right,
Yeah.
let's go then.
Now,
Pleasure. It's our
welcome
pleasure.
to the podcast. So we want to talk about something today.
Something
It's a
spicy.
little bit personal. It's a little bit something that used to make people to be passionate.
To be passionate,
Yeah.
You understand?
sensitive.
You know,
Yes, that's
especially
right.
in this our context of Nigeria.
That's
okay?
exactly right.
We're talking about religion.
Woo.
So I'm going to start with the energy that I mean to continue with.
Okay.
Falz,
Okay.
are you religious?
Ooh. Da 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 dum.
Honestly.
Honestly, yeah. This is
Honestly.
don't F with me. So be honest.
Honestly.
Be honest about it.
Honestly, at the moment, I do not think I'm a religious person.
Okay.
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 But would you say you're a man of faith though?
Faith, I think faith and religion are synonymous.
Would you say you are spiritual?
I think I would say that I'm more spiritual.
Oh, I think P. Nelson is here. Yay!
Oh, okay. Awesome.
P. Nelson!
Man of God.
Hi guys.
Where
Can you
are
hear
you coming from? Yeah, we can.
me?
Yeah, we can.
I can't hear you.
We can hear
Ah.
you.
We can hear you.
You know what? Just hold
Let's
on.
just give him a couple. Let's just give him a couple.
Yeah.
Because I want him to be here from the beginning.
Can you talk now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, I think I can hear you.
Wahala.
Wagwan, hi
Thank God
everybody.
it's not me that is having. Thank God it's not me that is having network issues. Thank God. Where's your Christmas hat, P. Nelson? Where's your Christmas hat?
I
Where's your
didn't
Christmas
get the
hat?
memo that we're using that. I didn't get the memo using that.
Ah.
No. Please, who has Christmas hat in the chat? I would like to join us. P. Nelson, bye-bye.
Can you guys see me?
Anyway, P. Nelson, can we?
We can't see
No,
you,
we
but we
can't
can
see
hear
you.
you.
But we can hear you, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so happy that it's not me that's having this issue because for the past 2 video chats, I've been the one having this issue. Look at God.
Is it look how good?
You know what? Don't worry, keep going without me. When I'm stabilized, I'll just
All right.
All right.
All right.
Than anything else.
Okay.
Okay.
I feed off energy.
Okay.
People's energy. I try to read energy
Okay.
as much as I can.
Okay.
And you have to be. I just believe that in this life, you have to be kind to others.
Agreed.
You have to not interfere with someone else's life and lifestyle.
Okay.
This thing
And,
that you
and way
said,
of living.
not interfere.
Not
We're
interfere.
coming back to it.
Not interfere.
Yeah, because I was gonna touch on that.
Kind to
Okay.
others.
Yeah.
Daniel, should we even start from here?
We can start. I think we can. Let's
Okay.
touch on a few things. Yeah. I think the first thing I just want to say is that one thing I respected, and they weren't consistent all through, was that many times he'll tell you, "I think, I believe," right? At least he recognizes it's his own opinion. I like that. He's not consistent throughout. He starts to actually say things as claims that are not true by any
Is
regard.
it
But
just
I
me or is
did.
dragging?
Is it
No,
dragging?
it's not dragging. We can.
What just
Yeah.
happened?
No, it's fine.
No, I
No,
expanded Daniel, so
he
everything is
highlighted
fine.
it. Yeah. But then when he said the question they asked him that are you religious? He said no. Are you a man of faith? He said it's synonymous. Are you spiritual? And then he said yes. And then he started to talk about energy and all of that. I'm sure we've all heard about that before. I think you know what, when we move on from that, because I don't want to put words in his mouth, he's going to explain what he means by spiritual. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I should do increase the speed,
Yeah,
playback speed,
slightly.
so we can move. Yeah.
Yeah.
A good person. Do not harbor ill feelings.
Towards the next
Don't
person.
have bad faith. That is just life.
Okay.
Yes.
Just be plain as if you like fornicate, if you like tell lies,
Oh.
please don't tell lies.
Don't tell lies,
Try to be
though.
an honest person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try to be an honest person. You know, if you like fornicate, if you like do,
That's on you.
that's your business.
All right.
Okay. So,
That's if we're not being religious.
yes. I'm going to press further.
Okay, wait. So I'm sorry, but do you think, like, are you saying like it's okay to sin, or like sin is sin regardless? What's that supposed to mean?
That's a very good question. See, what I think is that I think it's more important. I think our interpretation of religion is very broad. And you can almost never really have a perfect
Definition of it.
handbook.
All right.
Now we can pause. Now we can pause. All right.
All right.
Okay, I wanted to only go ahead, but no Allah.
No, you.
Okay. I think that's the first thing that he starts to say. He didn't say I believe. I that there's no.
Mm,
He first said that our interpretation of religion is broad. Therefore, we can't have an accurate, or we can never know what is true. And this is a very,
mm,
very common thing people say. There are so many religions. Why do you
mm,
Christians say that your own is true? Why do you claim there is one truth? At the end of the day, maybe all religions is just a different paths lead up the same mountain. And I think
mm.
that's where I started to shake my head. That is a very horrific conclusion. You should never say because there are many options, none is true. We don't think
True.
that
Yeah.
way. You are writing an exam, there's A to D. You don't say, since there are four options, none is true. Or because many people think different things about certain things, not one of that is true. We don't do that for history. We don't do that for science. We don't do that for any other form of knowledge. But suddenly, when it comes to religion, we assume that various interpretations mean that everything becomes subjective. Let me hear what you have to say, but that's a terrible.
Uh,
Nah, that's yeah,
more like, but she ain't. Yeah, subjective. As she end up with subjective because um, everything hinges on whether truth is objective or subjective.
yeah.
Even if it's moral truth. For example, when he said, "Do not do evil to another person," the fact that you think it's a general law, a rule of life,
Mm,
you know, presupposes that there must be like a moral lawgiver, for you
mm.
to say you're not really, you feed off energy and things like that, you know. The question is not
Galactus.
if you're feeding off
Silver
energy.
Surfer.
The question is why am I expected to do good
Mm,
to the other person?
mm.
Why am I expected to act kind to the
Yeah,
other person?
yeah,
If you're saying everybody can do their own,
yeah,
don't just influence another person's life.
yeah,
I mean, what if I don't want to act kind?
yeah,
For you to suggest that, oh, I should do this and
yeah,
I should do that,
yeah.
you expect that it is a universal law. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
You expect that it's a universal law, and the whole idea of, oh, not invading into people's privacy and all things like that. I'm sure they are talking
Oh,
about
I would,
evangelism,
would touch it. Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And the very idea of this podcast is you invading people's
Your own
privacy, quote
pushing
unquote,
what you believe to be
choosing
true.
what you believe to be
Exactly.
true.
That's the whole point
So
of
you
this
can see it's
episode
kind of.
today. You're telling people your views on
Yeah,
religion
thank
and
you,
culture.
Vivian.
And that is exactly, I think, one of the problems people fail to realize that Christian evangelism, at least if done the right way, is not imposing your views. If that's the case,
Yeah,
then every ad, every marketing campaign is imposing your views on other people.
yeah,
But no one
yeah.
would say, oh, Coke is putting a banner on my street. They are trying to impose their views on me. No, they are simply telling you buy Coke. It's the same thing the Christian does. Oh, I believe Jesus is the Son of God, and I want you to know that, right?
Yeah.
Even the whole point about, and we're going to play on now. He's still talking about the whole because there are different interpretations. None is true. He's also passing across information, and he expects that the people listening to him understand what he's saying. He's not hoping
Saying,
that
yeah,
I would listen to Falz now and he said, and I'll think, oh, this is what it means to me. And then
means to
you and you
me.
say, this is what it means to you. And then we're all fine. You say, no, that's not what I was trying to say. So it is very, it's inconsistent with even his own belief because
Is
everyone
one
knows
view,
that
yeah.
when information is passed across, the author is trying to say something specific. At the end of the day, it simply means if there are varying interpretations, people are misinterpreting it or disregarding the intention of the author. So you can't, and they're going to talk about that for the Bible as well. That because people read verses in different ways, so it really it's you don't think that way. You don't think that way. But anyways,
Mm.
let's go on.
Yes,
Pinels Alpha.
I'm good. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
yes, we can
Awesome.
hear
There's
you.
a
Okay.
slight lag, but we can hear you now. Perfect. Yeah.
All right, it's
All
perfect.
right.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go on.
All right, just give me a sec.
everyone would interpret religion differently.
Different.
Everyone would interpret same scripture that
Very
keeps you going.
differently.
Someone else would interpret it that. I was telling someone the other day, I said, you don't have tattoo. See, I want to go to heaven.
Okay.
They said it as a joke.
Yeah.
But
He
growing up,
look, he meant
we were
it though.
There was that association. Yeah.
they say
That's about
you will
him.
not see the kingdom of God.
True.
That's it.
So I mean, scriptures can almost always be interpreted in any
Different
way.
ways. Okay.
So just be good.
Okay.
I think for me, the question is, why am I good? Why am I kind? Why do I do
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things?
Yeah.
Like, is it just, or is there a reason? Is there an eternal?
Mm.
Does it have any eternal repercussion?
Mm. I think it was C.S.
You know,
Lewis that said it, that if there's no God, then there's no such thing as a moral ought, like OUGHT. We
oughtness,
don't
the
we don't
oughtness, yes, the
have to
oughtness.
do anything if there was no external standard of moral accountability. The very idea that you feel human beings should be good and kind and all of that, you can't argue it's just for the sake of societal peace. No, because what if, why should society pursue peace? You're still, we're going to arrive, no matter how much you dodge it, we're still going to arrive there. Why is peace a good thing? why
You
is why
think
is
exactly?
yeah why is love a good thing? Why should, as a society, should we strive for peace? You might argue for genetic or survival of the fittest, evolution and all of that, but then we're still going to arrive at the same concept, that if it was a genetic trait, then everyone should be good, or everyone should
Yeah,
care about the survival of the species. But that's not the case. um you can't, once you bring in moral oughts, right, you have to argue for an
you have
external
to
source of
your
morality.
extend.
You
Yeah,
cannot escape it.
yes,
We're going to talk
yes, you
about
can.
that more, but those are the two things so far
P.
that he has
Nelson,
brought out: interpretation, multiple interpretations, and moral absolutes. But Pinels, Hafa.
the way P. Nelson is smiling, like he has knowledge to spill. So P.
I
Nelson,
don't even know the point. I don't know the points we're trying to address because I don't know. My network had issues. However,
Ah,
um, I believe I believe that the first of all, let me just say that the podcast is a very cute attempt. It's so cute, right? Is is nice. I don't know what we've said so far, but let me just say a few things from the beginning. Number one, I think the podcast started on a very wrong premise. All right, it started on a very wrong premise. It started with, do you consider yourself religious? First of all, with all due respect, nobody cares. In the grand scheme of things, it does not matter. All right, it does not matter if you consider yourself religious or not. The question, the right thing we should do or we should be looking for is the quest for truth. All right, is the
mm,
quest
mm,
for truth. So, what exactly does religion try to do, right? It tries to appease a higher being. It's a way of worship of a deity that transcends us. The question should first be,
mm,
does that deity exist? Does that deity
yeah,
exist? You know, then, I think we'll talk about this much later. Then they come to the point where, there are many religions. How do we know which one is real? That
yeah,
should be the question you are asking, not do you consider yourself religious?
yeah,
Not do
yeah,
you consider
yeah.
yourself religious? Because um looking at the podcast, I think the latter part of it, we heard Falz say, um he said, he saw somebody tattoo, the person was like, I don't have tattoo, I want to go to heaven.
that's actually
And
where we are. It's at
then,
the beginning. That's where we are.
okay, great, he said
Yeah.
somebody with tattoo. And I don't want to go into my points, so that, because I don't know where we are, let me not take us to the point
Okay,
of
okay,
It's
okay,
fine.
okay.
Let's move on.
Let's play them. Let's play
Yeah.
them. Let's play them.
all right.
So you said that you consider yourself to be religious. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be? Were you raised in a religious home?
Of course.
Okay.
Almost all of
As
us.
in, oh yeah.
So there's a
Yeah.
point at which there was a little bit of a switch hop.
So just imagine my mother. This child has this great.
Yeah, this place was in this family.
By the way, this host were just annoying
Yeah,
me.
I will be honest with you.
Is
I
the guy in the yellow
personally,
shirt? That guy
but
in the yellow shirt.
exactly, exactly. I
were
messaged
they
Ili.
were
I
when I
say if
watched
I
it.
catch you, go
When
on.
I watched it, I was like, I think that's why it was very important for us to put out that disclaimer that see, these people are going to annoy you. Just don't be angry in the comments.
Oh my god.
Let me play.
Olori,
That's why
hey,
actually it's why we don't watch
mo
it. So there was a point, because the reason I asked this is because I feel like a lot of us have either experienced or will experience that shift. And that, because, like you said, a lot of us grew up in religious homes.
Yeah.
I used to go to church every Sunday.
Sure.
I can't remember the last
Same.
time I went to Hey, God,
Oh,
is my mommy
I
or
think
say
your
it with your chest.
Okay,
Don't
okay.
hide here.
I think that point of that switch is where you gain cognizance
Of
When
what's
you-
going on.
Yeah, when you sort of recognize
Yes, what's happening.
what's happening in the Christian home.
Yeah.
Or Muslim.
I think I need to pause there because they seem to give this idea that once you become rational, once you start to think on things, then it's an effect that you no longer be religious, as though religion, as though we are dumb on this side, as though to be intellectual would automatically lead into you being not religious and just feed off energy, and this is false. I mean, this is false. Um, I don't want to go into the correlation between intelligence and atheism and the
Yeah.
evidence for people who, I mean, think of people that contributed to science, people like Isaac Newton. You won't get intellect past the guy. He was religious.
Yeah.
Where is the correlation between gaining cognizance? I mean, people observe the universe, and because they observe the universe as it were, they realize that there must be a mind greater than
Yeah.
mind behind the universe.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they are gaining their own cognizance
You need
from.
to even add to what you're saying.
Actually,
It's weird how for sorry, Pinos. Okay, yeah. It's weird how for many people is even when they in quote gain cognizance that they came to faith as well.
To
Right? So it's
faith,
not
yes,
about
yes.
some form of weird enlightenment that somehow disregards God. The question is when you started to question things, what answers did you find? How did
You
you
find, yeah.
find those answers to be true to then take it up as a worldview? There were many, I mean, is it David Wood or even Nabil Qureshi and all of that? They gained
Even
cognizance.
C.S. Lewis,
C.S. Lewis as well, from an atheist, he gained
faith,
cognizance and came
Anthony
into
Flew,
faith.
an
Exactly.
atheist,
So
John
it's
Lennox.
not
Josh
about
McDowell.
so many. You can go
Should
on
we
and
mention
on. That is in
me,
the
me,
examination of
me?
faith that they found out that Christianity was true. So, and using education or rationality to disregard a religion or not is also a very bad attempt to push your case.
Many of the fathers of
Yeah.
science actually, I can't remember his name now, but he said they basically, it was out of their faith, they began to want
Explore.
to know more about the
Yeah.
universe, right?
Yeah.
About the
And
Yeah.
in
universe,
doing that,
yes.
they saw that it was a form of worship.
Yeah.
Because if there's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
creator who
Yeah.
gave us mind, he gave us an intellect,
Mind, yes.
and then
Yep.
he gave the creation,
Yep.
it is definitely worship and honor to him to
That's
actually
how
want to unravel
universities
how this thing
started.
works. Thank you. And that is why
Yeah.
your
Yes.
choir gown is the same as your matric gown.
Exactly.
Cognizance call.
It's, the whole idea of universities was to combine different bodies of knowledge around theology. And that's why when you check many of those ancient schools, they are whatever they call that thing, that mantra, you always see something related to God there. Even Harvard
Okay.
till this day, it's the case. So, anyways, yeah,
Yeah. Let
go
me
on.
let me go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's religious
As the case
homes.
may be,
Yeah, yeah.
a religious home. And then, we're told things, and those are the things we believe.
Yeah.
Up until we then are old enough to be aware. Something called something called this. Okay, what am I?
Exactly.
I'm a Christian. I have been a Christian. Is this really what I believe? you know,
Did I choose it or was
did
it
I choose it
given
or was
to
it?
me? Yeah.
Was it forced upon
Forced.
me?
Ooh.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and you know what?
Also, just because something was forced upon you doesn't mean it is false. I think that should be clear. Just because something was forced upon you doesn't mean it is false. It's your responsibility to actually investigate it and find out if what was passed down to you is true. Our teachers
Yeah.
taught us 2 plus 2 is 4. We did not grow up and gain cognizance and say, actually, why did they tell me 2 plus 2 is 4?
Yeah.
And you don't even bother to check if 2 plus 2 is actually four, and you're like, what about five? What about six? What about seven? You know what? I don't want to believe two plus two is four again. That's exactly what
Mm.
this whole argument is about.
We'll talk about it
You
more when
know?
he gets to the source of
Yeah.
Christianity in Europe. It's the whole
Oh
genetic
yeah.
fallacy thing.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
we'll talk more about that.
Oh
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Let me go ahead to play that one. What can Camila name?
What's ironic about this?
Please go on.
I mean, I assume we'll still get into this part of the conversation.
Let's
we're
let's
going
do
everywhere.
it. Let's do it
What
already.
is ironic about this is that most of these religions
Yeah.
that we're carrying on our head
I feel like something is coming on.
Break the table.
are European constructs.
Ooh.
If we're going to be honest with ourselves,
Ooh.
they're European constructs.
That's right. So are you saying now that
Should we start from here? We should let him
No,
go
finish
ahead.
Let them
it.
finish. Let
Let
them
it
Let
finish.
finish.
him
Finish. Let it finish it. Finish it. Finish it.
Let them finish.
you're a bigger believer in Fela's culture, so to speak?
I'm a big believer in who we really are.
Internally,
Who
individually.
we really are as a people.
Okay.
As black people, as Africans.
Okay.
Traditionally, who are you?
Okay.
Yes.
Where are you from?
Ogun State.
Thank you. Your people in Ogun say your forefathers. Who do you used to worship?
It was not Jesus.
But
All right.
No, let it
Let's
finish.
start from here.
He's about. Let's. That guy
Oh, my
wants to.
body is scratching me. All
you
right.
had like their
Your
Oguns
forefathers,
and them.
they have their gods.
Yeah.
Where are those gods now? We refer to them as idols.
All right. Let's
So yeah,
let's
we can
let's
pause.
let's.
Yeah. Phineas, you
Just
want
to
to go
put it
ahead?
out there,
Yeah.
Falz does not identify as a traditionalist, so he's flouting his own argument. All right, let's start from there. Um, he's saying that who are your forefathers? Well, wow. Can
There are
I
four
just
forefathers
quickly
that off
say,
your light.
Falz's Falz's forefathers
Mm.
were traditionalists, but he doesn't identify as that. Number one. Before I even skip to that, Falz's forefathers did not wear jeans, yet he's wearing it. It doesn't mean he's not an African. If we're going to make all those arguments, so but let me even skip to more this thing. First of all, to say that Christianity is a European construct shows poor research.
It's so
Guys, you know
yes.
I
what?
It's
lost
a
my
waste
I'll
of
mind
be
when
time.
back.
I heard
Let me
that.
go and turn on. Let me go and turn on my gen. I'm coming.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Um.
I couldn't believe when it's you don't it's terrible history to say such a
Yes.
thing because uh, at at a very basic level, like Pinels was saying, if you want to disregard Christianity because it was brought by the Europeans, which again is false, then you have to disregard every other thing they brought along with
Along.
Christianity, whether it's
Yes.
education, formal education, um, dressing, the internet, everything
Yeah.
you have gotten from Western civilization that your forefathers did not invent, please throw it away, right?
You know the same way I started.
If we,
Sorry.
yeah,
Sorry to cut you. Excuse me.
sure, sure,
The same way I
just
started by saying
yeah,
I expected the podcast to be in Yoruba because I mean why you
you're speaking
discard
in
the
English
language discard the language
entirely.
your forefathers did not speak. Come on now, dog. Stick up to your argument. Finish it 100%. You know,
Nah,
please go ahead.
nah. So there are many ways. So another way to even poke holes at this argument would be even scientifically, you can trace our genetic ancestry to one common human. So
Mm.
technically, European, African, we are all related. That's
We are
another side
Lordians.
that he didn't even consider, right? To restrict it to just four forefathers. But
Mm.
the major thing for me is in general, that's not how to think, right? You
Think yeah.
don't kind of like what you were saying, you don't say something is true or not based on the source. And again, like I
Right.
said, genetic
Yeah.
facts. It's like saying, growing up my mom told me kind of yes 2 plus 2 is 4, right? Or my mom told me
Mm.
the earth is round, and now today let's say I know nothing about science,
But,
I know nothing about Galileo and all those things, but I
mm.
believe the earth is round. And someone says, oh, why do you believe the earth is round? Oh, my mom like, what do you mean by that? They just told you the earth is not round. I don't believe your conclusion because you believe it simply because your mom says so. That's bad. You don't say that, right? You examine if something is true or not based on what it is. Our forefathers knew nothing about the state of the world. They did not think the earth was round. They did not think that whatever, right? They didn't know about certain things. But today we know because we found truth. So for you to put religion in a category where it's simply based on, I think that's where many of these things for his the line between religion and culture is
Yeah.
very blurred in their argument on the
Lord.
entire
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
which is religion is
Yeah.
not culture. It impacts culture heavily, right? And vice
Yeah.
versa. But religion is not culture. Every religion
Culture.
makes a truth claim about the way the world works. Every religion
Yeah.
says something about who we are, where did we come from, what is the meaning of our lives, how should we behave, what is life all about. And it is on it's on the merit of each of those
Grounds.
claims
Yeah.
that you start to examine. Oh, Islam says this about God, this about humanity, this about the world. Christianity says this, Buddhism says this, your Ogun or Yemoja or Ifa or Shango, right, says this about the world, this and that. You now have to start to evaluate, okay, this is what it says, is it true? It has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the source. Even if Christianity came solely through slavery,
Yeah.
it doesn't discredit the fact that
Credit.
Christianity is true or
Yeah.
false. You have to then examine, okay, what does Christianity say? Is it historically verifiable? Is the Bible accurate? Can I trust the claims of Christianity? Right. So yeah, those are just my thoughts.
Well,
Spin off.
and
Yeah.
my thoughts. Uh,
Yeah.
now where I'm trying to get my thoughts out. All right. Um, is Christianity an European construct? I expected Falz as an intellectual to know that.
Take it, Papa.
Yeah. Okay. Before I even go ahead, has Christianity been whitewashed? Has Christianity been um, sort of like been Europeanized? I to some extent, yes. For example, when you watch movies about Jesus or you see paintings and arts from Europeans or people, when you ask
Yeah.
someone, oh, can you draw Jesus? They'll probably give him a pale white skin. And
Yeah.
no doubt Christianity has been whitewashed and all that. But just like uh every smart person knows that whenever you are dealing with an historical claim or you're dealing with something historical, you have to go to the earliest sources, to understand that ideology. And everybody knows that Jesus was from the Middle East.
Yep.
Jesus was and the Middle East is just, I think it's also God's wisdom in the sense of thinking that the Middle East is just between Africa and Europe. It's just at the center. And everybody knows that the Palestinians are not white. And they are not black as we are black. You get what I'm saying? So when we go to the let Pastor Nelson in. Yes, so when we go to the earliest sources of Christianity, we find out that these people themselves, like the Jews,
Yeah.
were actually oppressed by the Europeans.
Exactly.
They were oppressed
Exactly.
by the Romans. So I mean, how is it an European construct in that sense? The fact that something originated before even the Europeans adopted it,
Yeah.
before Constantine made it the official religion of Rome.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? And before Constantine made it the religion of Rome, Africans were already receiving the gospel. There was already a church in
Ethiopia.
Egypt.
Ethiopia.
Even
Before I
Ethiopia.
come to
Yeah.
Ethiopia,
Yeah.
in Egypt,
Yeah.
Augustine, a lot of church fathers, at least three, Augustine, what's the name of this guy? Athanasius, and this last guy that I can't remember right now. These were church fathers that were Africans, and even Ethiopia, like you said, when we go back to Acts chapter, I think it's verse chapter 9, where Philip preached to the Ethiopian eunuch, somebody that was from Africa received the gospel. And although Christianity, I think I need to say this, that Christianity in itself is culturally transcendent. It is it's no culture can lay hold to it.
Yeah.
You know, God promised Abraham that in him shall all the nations, his seed, through his seed, all the nations of the earth be blessed. You know,
Yeah.
in Isaiah, I think it's 49, you know, it said of the Messiah that the Messiah will be a light to the nations, and through him shall salvation, you know, reach the ends of the earth. And in Revelation chapter 9, you know, John was saying that he saw a multi-ethnic people, you know, worshiping the lion and the lamb. So there's no Christianity is not for a particular tribe.
Yep.
It's not for a particular set of people. Christianity is for the world. The question, like you said, is what does Christianity claim?
Yeah.
Does it affect everybody? Does it answer everybody's question? It's just like paracetamol. Paracetamol is not just, if the white man invented paracetamol, made paracetamol,
I
you
used to
know,
take a
paracetamol is
go.
not, yeah, local man now, local champion. Paracetamol is not just for the white man when he's having pains, you know. Is pain something everybody experience?
Yeah.
If everybody experiences pain, then this solution should work for everybody,
Yep.
regardless of what someone was taking before the drug came.
Yeah. Yeah.
P. Nelson, please go ahead. I still have more to say. Like
There's
All
yeah.
right. I think the first thing is like
Is it the same at my end? At your end?
I said earlier, I don't
Okay.
believe of me. Can you hear me now?
I can
Yes,
hear
now
you.
you're back. Now you're back. Yeah, you're back.
All right. I said I mean it's obvious, but just for the sake of saying, this podcast has no regard for truth. All right. It was not about a quest for truth. It was just airing an opinion, which is obvious in the beginning, which is started by are you religious? If we are going to look for something that transcends us, it cannot begin with us. All right.
Mm.
It cannot begin with us. But that aside, right? Um, these guys who are from Europe, these guys worshipped this god owned by Disney, Loki and Thor and the rest, right? They worshipped these other guys and they had to put aside their own gods
Even the Romans.
because of a religion that came existed. Exactly. I mean, they had Jupiter, they had
Zeus,
Neptune, which I think in the Greek is
Jupiter,
what
Neptune,
calls
all of them.
Zeus and the rest,
Nah,
right?
yeah.
They had to put aside their own gods because of the faith that they had found. So the question will first be, Daniel, like you and I discussed, you said Ogun, like your forefathers worshipped Ogun. But let's be honest, apologetically, historically speaking, is there a man called Ogun? Let's talk about it. Does that man exist? How do you
I think something's wrong with P. Nelson's network.
Yeah.
my network has disappeared again? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
Go
we
on. Yeah.
can.
Can you hear me now? I
Go on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
said
boss.
historically and apologetic, Jesus died and Jesus rose again, right? And even to say that,
Yep.
Mm.
Africa and all those things, guy, there were church fathers that were Africans. Look at Augustine, right? Bishop of Hippo. Augustine is one of the most influential church thinkers. I mean, he wrote the treatise City of God.
Yeah.
Tertullian. Okay, guys, can you hear me now? It's our ancestors that is working against this my network.
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Yes,
Yeah.
Our ancestors is working
Four
against.
partners.
maybe you should turn off your video.
Don't worry, I think it will work fine. Anyways, so just
Uh,
base everything as per who we really are, just like Ini said. I mean, then we should do away with everything that
Yep.
westernization has brought. Falz dyed his hair. I'm sure it's not banana tree he got that dye from. All right, let's let's throw everything away that westernization has brought. So again, like I said, let's go
mm.
back to the quest for truth.
Yeah.
Did Jesus die and rise again? Can you
Yeah.
prove that he is God? is more
Yeah.
about truth than petty sentiment.
Yep. Yep.
This network. Oh,
We shame it.
I'm so happy that it's not
Is the
me
word of
today.
God. Well, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back. You're
Yes,
back.
fine.
All right. So if we are going to, if I'm going to prove that the Bible is the word of God, before I prove that, I'm first going to say, will it matter if it is the word of God? Will it matter?
Mm.
If it will matter, then apologetics can flow from there. So to just say, it's a European construct, it came from Europe, then we are being colonized because we are following the white man's God. If he's God of the whole earth, he cannot be the white man's God. All right.
Yep.
And more importantly,
Exactly.
where exactly do our gods come in? Paul went to a city and they wrote to the unknown God. Can it be that these guys actually worshipped? I mean, they saw the sun, they saw all these things, and they knew that there is a being that has to transcend us. I mean, Solomon says that he has put eternity in our hearts. Okay, so is it that
Yeah.
all of creation is yearning for a God that they know that has to transcend them, right?
Yeah.
They know that it transcends them, hence they are yearning for something that is bigger than them. Because I mean, frankly, outside God, there are questions that you cannot answer. So they have
Yep.
to set their worship to a particular place. So Paul then says that Paul talks about an unknown God, and he says, him I show to you. Man is seeking after a God because they know that there has to be something that is beyond us. The question is not all those things and European construct. Is there a God? Is he truly God if he is serving? Sorry,
Yeah.
I've gone
I,
somewhere else,
I,
but
I
now
also think I also think historically it's false, you know, and the old, he has a false idea as though West Africans were monolithic, like they all believed and worshipped the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, Yorubas definitely doesn't believe what the Igbos believe about God.
Yeah.
They don't believe what the Hausas believed
Yeah.
about God.
Yeah.
You know, and also historically, like I said, there was a community of Christians in West Africa before the white man came for the pre-colonial times. And according to what I found, in Mali during the reign of Mansa Musa, Mansa Musa, the rich guy now,
rich
that was
guy,
once,
money
yes,
bag.
during the reign of, yes. And, there's this book called Corpus of Early Arabic Sources for West African History.
Mm.
And in that book, um, it has a dialogue between Mansa Musa and this comrade of his, and he was asking him about the place where gold was found in Mali. And Mansa Musa told him and said, I'm just going to read it for you guys. He said, the guy asked, he said, I asked the king of Turk, how is the description of the place where the gold grows with you? He replied, it's not in the part of the land which belongs to the Muslims, but in the land of the Christians of the Turk.
Mm.
And I think that is very important because what was that before the white man came to Africa, there were already Christians in Africa.
Yep.
I mean, Christianity was already a religion,
Yeah.
was even made the religion of Ethiopia at a point. And I'm sure even in according to what I even wrote here, in the Nubian area, Egypt, Tunisia, Sudan, and all those places, there
Mm.
were Christians.
Mm.
There have been archaeological discoveries that have been found, paintings of
Yeah.
Christians,
Yeah.
Christian paintings and all that. And Christianity was already in North Africa. Christianity was already in Africa, rather.
Africa.
And
Yeah.
let me put Pastor Nelson in.
Okay.
Christianity was already in North Africa. Christianity was already
Yeah.
in East Africa. I mean,
Yeah.
even the Ethiopian Christians were the ones that
Yeah.
even stopped Islam from invading into East Africa, like the kingdom, fought back and all that. Christianity
Mm.
was already in East Africa, and based on the Nubian culture and how they interacted with each other, Christianity flowed naturally, excuse me, into the West.
Yeah.
It flowed naturally into the West. So when you look at the history of Christianity in Africa, you realize that Christianity flowed naturally. There was no forcing of Christianity upon anybody. Africans were Christians before the white man came.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for you to say it's an European construct,
Yeah.
it's not historically accurate.
It was a terrible statement. I couldn't believe
Yeah,
when he said that. I think just in general, the point Pinel's, and we'll probably continue after this, the point Pinel raised is a good place to conclude on that. Many times people say, if there is a God, why are there so many religions? But you're asking the wrong question. It's actually
question.
because there is a God that there
There
are
are
so
many
many
religions.
religions. It's
Yeah,
humans' attempt to understand that there is something bigger than myself out there. And many people have tried to understand that. And what we then say is, okay, now that we have all these religions, how do we examine each one to find
to be true. Yeah.
truth? I
Let's
just want
let's
to
let's
encourage
play back.
everyone to, yeah, to please be taking notes as well. It's not just vibes. Please, because these are very serious questions. Especially you're going to get asked this, oh, why, and all of that. So I hope this is blessing
Mm.
everyone. But yeah,
All
let's
right,
go on.
let's go.
Anybody that's worshiping is idol worshiper.
Yeah.
Oh, evil. Don't come
That's
near.
the thing. It's almost considered.
Oh, these
evil.
are our
yeah.
gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's not even considered as a separate religion sometimes. Some people even think that it has this evil.
Yeah,
dark
they feel like this is darkness. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think I even need to say this to add to this about the whole idol thing. What do we define as an idol? An idol is just basically a graven image. I was joking with somebody. I said one of the gods in the pantheon of the Yoruba Kini is Shopono, and Shopono is basically the god of smallpox. And I was joking because I said since medicine came and people can treat themselves with smallpox, Shopono is no all that powerful. Shopono is even looking for a job outside now. He's looking for remote gigs because medical science is running Shopono out of business. And basically, when we talk about God, we're talking about an all powerful being. Any
Yeah.
God that was any idea of God that was created in time, within time, cannot be God because there was a
Yeah.
time where there was no time. There was a time where there was no
Mm-hmm.
space. There was a time where there was no matter.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever must have preceded this thing must be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial. And if you're God, you can, Paul said it now, like the God who made the universe does not need a
Yeah,
house to be
Yeah.
built for him.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Does not need a house to be built for him. He feels all in all. So for you to now make a graven image, that's what we mean by an idol. Paul said that
Yeah.
rather than worship the created, they're not worshiping the create. Sorry, rather than worshiping him, God forgive me.
The
Rather than
creator.
worshiping
They've
the
worshipped the
creator,
created, not the
they are
creation more
worship,
than
they are
the
worshiping the
creator.
exactly. So when they make God in their likeness, in the likeness of things that they see, in the likeness of created things, in the likeness of things that have beginnings,
yeah,
that's what we mean by an idol. So
yeah.
yes, they are idols.
And
Yeah.
it's crazy
Go on,
how
yeah.
we've been made to demonize our own.
Mm.
And that which is us. And that's why till now, we're still fighting. Because we don't know who we
Sorry, I'm sorry. This demonizing our own. Do you know Falz cannot even it cannot be consistent with these things. I stay in Ikorodu where they still practice a little bit of traditionalism.
Ha!
And
I saw
do you know
Ebo the
Labaro
that
first time. I
Shakatabaya.
saw Ebo the first time I came
Hey!
to house.
Hey!
you see I
If
say
I
everybody
talk
first
of
time
negatives, if I talk of black science, let me not talk. I'm a pastor. Hey.
so for example, the young lady that is talking there, if she embraces what her fathers used to believe, there are certain days she cannot come out of the house. Or else they go stone and jazz. They call it oral. There are certain days a woman can't come out of the house because the king is doing this. Or let's say, for example, the king dies, and when the king dies, there's something
7 heads.
abobaku. They will
Follow him.
even send you WhatsApp busy that nobody should come out to. If you come out, anything where your eyes see, tell me. Whenever Christians are going to church, do they tell people not to come out? When Christians are worshiping God, do they require anybody's life? And you're telling me we shouldn't, idolize or put a bad stigma to this.
Yeah. And the another side to this is that if you're a Christian, the Christian doctrine tells you that all of these other gods are demonic. So
It's demonic.
it's
Yeah,
not a cultural thing that, oh, we are stigmatizing our culture. No, every other appearance of God that is not revealed in Christ is demonic.
is
So
forget that, sir.
it should- yeah.
Let us do power. That
As
power.
Can
Drop your own.
can
Drop
I
your
say
rod. Let me
something?
drop my
Can
rod.
I say something?
go on.
Can I say
Yeah.
something? You see, Falz even said, you know, being a Christ, how did he even put it? He was saying, you know, because we don't know really know who we are, who we are. My question is this: if we are going to do away with Christianity and everything it brought, let's do away with Mary's lesson now. Let's still be killing twins.
Yeah,
Ah, I
yeah.
know. It's who we
Let's
are.
still
It's
be
Kuku who
killing
we are.
twins. It's who we are.
It's who we are.
Exactly.
Please go on. The
Exactly.
argument is
You know,
not
and I
consistent.
was
I'm just saying, if you're going to attack with the same point, vet your position with the
point
same
with the
point.
Yeah.
same, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. What you believe,
Yeah.
get it. And I was about to even add this in Kurodu. There was a time when the king died, and whenever the king dies, um, let's say P. Nelson is a king. You are from birth, Daniel. You are the Abobaku. When the king dies, they are going to kill you with the king. You have to go with the king. You know. And they said the Abobaku ran away, that they are looking for him. Who wants to die? You know, this is what Paul is. I said this is what Paul is saying we should embrace. This is what Falz is saying we should embrace. I mean, it's easy for this woke generation to say, let us go back to our roots. Our
Yeah.
parents knew faith. Our
Yeah.
parents knew
Yeah.
how Ogun how people just
How you-
use juju to do you,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
like, we should go back to that. Okay, all right.
Go on.
We are.
Hmm.
That's why there's a Lives Matter movement.
So what you're saying is now there's an identity crisis.
Okay. Okay.
There's a big identity crisis. That's why, for example, there's the Black Lives Matter movement. That's why there's the protests going on here. Because black lives or black people
Don't really.
do not even value black lives.
At this point, I didn't see the correlation between what was said earlier
This has
and
nothing to do with
this has
religion
nothing
or
to do
going
with
Let's
back to
just
your
religion.
roots.
let's
Yeah, but
maybe
go
we'll
on.
talk
Yeah.
about
I
to
just
do
wanted
Elam
to put it
another
out there.
day. Please go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So how will other people
Values.
value you? Look at Africa. It is a clear picture of that. How can your own military men come and shoot you?
The people who are supposed to protect you.
How can I look at my brother in the eye and I'm a soldier
And I
meant to
shoot
protect,
you.
and I'm shooting him?
And then defend what you're doing.
I
Defend your
clearly
actions.
don't have regard for his
Yeah.
life.
Can you?
What about the person that
Because
sent me?
Yeah.
Of course, that
Wait,
person doesn't have regard for his life.
this makes no sense. There were countless tribal wars before
Exactly
Christianity.
before it has
Countless.
nothing. Like I
It
said, it
has
has nothing to do with
nothing to do
Christianity.
with human conflicts. Nothing. Please
As
go
if
on.
it was the European that brought, the enmity we have
Black
against
killing
ourselves.
blacks.
Like, I'm like,
No,
nah,
no, no,
no,
no.
don't do that, sir.
Even normal wars, if it's white killing whites or Asians killing Asians, all
Yeah,
of that,
exactly.
with or without religion. I think one of the things I noted is that if you find that common problem, it should. Some people say if they don't like religion because it has caused so much evil
So many
in the
wars.
world.
Yeah.
That is wrong for many reasons. Number one, there's been more evil done outside religion. We'll get to that. But
Again.
um,
Can I
if you notice,
can I drop? Okay,
okay,
sorry.
yeah,
But I
go on.
thought you were
No,
done. I wanted to drop a statistic to that.
about
Um,
religion's not done it. Yeah,
about less than 8% of the wars that have been fought have about less than 8% of the wars that have been fought have only been about religious. They have only had religious backgrounds and undertone.
yeah, yeah,
Only about 8%, right? And Christianity is about 3% of that,
yeah.
3 to 5% of that. 92% and more is across atheism.
Anyway, I'm so happy it's not me that's having this network issue today. I've been dragged in the mud.
Oh my god. But I think it's very clear. It's what you were saying about the common problem of man. If both
Problem of man,
religious
yeah.
and non-religious people have conflicts and kill them, it shows you that the problem is not religion. The problem is human evil,
Region,
right? So
man, yeah.
it's again, the reason I was very sad or even almost disgusted watching a lot of parts of this podcast is because it is not even factual. Like, if you want to even say something, at least
Yeah,
let it be factual. This is just vibes. That's all they are doing here. There's nothing.
he's right, exactly.
Nah, but go on. When Pinels comes back, we'll continue. Yeah.
Alright, okay.
True,
So
true,
Disregard us.
true.
So you're touching on something here because you mentioned the soldiers, and that's immediately making me think about people in positions of power, the authority
Yeah.
that we have, and the hold and the control that they have over us, and the way that they intimidate us. I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you're going to answer this question that I have for you.
I know you must.
I don't know if you're going to answer this question that I have for you.
If I can, I'll answer it to the best of my.
Do you think, because Nigeria is a very religious nation, there are a lot of very religious people in this nation.
True, true.
And whether or not everyone would agree that the Christianity that different people are practicing or the Islam is what they specifically believe, because obviously we know that there are different sects. Do you think how religious we are is part of the reason why it is easy to maybe intimidate
Or
us
oppress us.
or oppress us? Do you think that feeds into part of the problem?
Say yes, but I'll also give you another.
Another angle?
I'll say yes,
Okay.
but I'll also say it is also a big advantage in terms of why we are still alive.
Yes.
Really?
Why we're
I
still
think I know
together.
where you're
I'll
going.
tell you
Okay.
why. It's yes for what you asked, in the sense that because hope. So
Hope is a
churches, mosques,
hope is a very, you know.
hope is what it is. So you hold on to that very tightly. So it's easy to oppress holding on to that hope.
Exactly.
That person is being told in church, be patient,
Because
regardless of their unemployment.
regardless of the situation,
Even
whatever.
though they should.
I
God
want
have
him to
mercy.
finish his train of thought. So there's a lot to say
Okay.
here. Let him finish. Let him
Okay.
finish what
Should
he's
be
saying.
employed.
And
because
it is
there's
their
no
right
job. And
to
it's their
have
right
an environment in which
Thank you.
Like, it's not-
provides basic amenities.
Yeah, it's not a prayer point, but right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But the synagogue or the church or the mosque, whatever religious institution that you go to, will preach to you to be patient. So that's why I say yes to the first question. Now, the second part, which I said, is also why we're still together, because religion is kind of needed to prevent chaos.
Okay.
I think this is where I begin to agree with him, about religion
At
being
the,
needed,
I think the first thing is go on, Ini. Go on. Go on.
No, go ahead. Papa.
Oh. um, I think he's making a very wrong generalization of
Realization.
Christianity or religion in general, because again, when you he's probably referring to the general idea of what tends to be common in many churches, right? Offering prosperity, or your time is coming, 2022 is your year, kind of thing. That is a
Yeah.
straw man. That is not Christianity. We three of
Yeah.
us here do not subscribe even to any of that as a whole. So the hope Christianity offers in itself is not in a better nation. It's something beyond this
Nation.
world, right?
Yeah.
It's something beyond
come
this
on
world.
now, preach now.
Again, you go to the origins of Christianity. Look at the political or the national climate the Jews grew up in,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
church, the Jewish believers. It was they were persecuted. It had nothing to do with good governance. Imagine a
Yeah.
Christian Jew telling Emperor Nero good governance. No. And even going back to what we're saying, he's a lot of times we hear that Nigeria is backwards, we're too religious, and all of that. But like Pinels was also saying, there's also evil done in atheistic. You look at Stalin and this
North
guy from
Korea.
China, Mao
Now,
Zedong. They
let's not
killed.
talk about now.
Oh my
No,
lord! And it
North Korea.
is staunch atheism.
Yeah.
Like there's no God in the picture at all, and you see the evil that was done in those countries. So again, if you see evil and bad governance in religious countries and non-religious countries, it shows you that the problem is deeper than religion, right?
Religion. Yeah.
But to even disagree with what he's saying, the truth is, when you look at where society is today, a lot of the advancements we celebrate is actually rooted in Christianity, right? When you talk
Yeah.
about, a lot of people don't realize women being elevated in society, slavery, all these
Yeah.
things that were education, it was pushed. Healthcare, it was, if you check how all these things were pushed in society, it was through Christians. In the
Christianity.
ancient It was through Christianity. You look at where the US is today. A lot of people don't realize that. I was in a conversation with a few folks, and they're like, the only thing keeping America today is the Constitution. And you look at the origins of those constitutions, it was built around moral codes by people who
Yeah.
identified as Christians. Equality.
Yeah.
When this guy said we believe in this, that all men are created equal, and
Yeah.
all of that, all those things have Christian origins. In the Roman culture, then there was, anyways.
I'm
Let's
smiling. I'm smiling
Yeah,
because just a couple of days ago, a news came out about the equality bill that they wanted to sign in the National Assembly,
yeah,
and Muslims objected to it that men and women are not equal.
equal, exactly.
Men and women are not equal. And like you said, Christianity is one of the reasons why, or maybe the only reason why, you can explain why, you, Pastor Nelson, and any female or any other person were equal. And that's basically because we were made in the image of God.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
if you take Christianity out of the picture, and say, okay, let's not be religious. I think it was, no, I can't even pronounce his name because it's kind of Russian, but he said that if there is no God, all things are permitted. Look at atheistic nations like North Korea, where one man can wake up and that's the point. Man now becomes God. Man now defines what is good and
yeah,
evil. There's no
yeah,
objective. You can wake up one morning and say, you know what, today, just like North Korea, the guy said that nobody is laughing, nobody is watching movies, nobody should be happy for 10 days. I'm like, who is this guy? This is what a society would be without people who
yeah,
believe in God or hold
yeah.
a moral, submit to a moral lawgiver.
I, I
You
think
get?
I think the thing is, even in Falz's argument, I almost said false. In Falz's argument,
Pun intended.
um, in Falz's argument, just say just be good. What is good?
We
How do
started
you
with talk with that now.
define what good is?
Yeah,
Okay. How do you define what is the standard? What does good mean?
yeah, yeah,
What does good is good because it works for the largest number of people, right? What if the
yeah,
largest number of us say, okay, rape is good? Does it make it good?
yeah,
What you just
Slave
said now.
trade was yes,
Thank you. I was expecting you to go
yeah.
there. It was good for society then.
yeah,
It promoted economic growth and all
yeah,
those things.
yeah, yeah.
Was it good?
They had no reason to believe in the value of the black man. It brought them more benefit to commoditize the person than
Exactly.
to
Thank
treat them as
you.
a human being.
Society
And
can define what
Faz
good.
eventually said something along the lines of
Yeah,
he eventually said something along the lines of, as far as your freedom does not impede on my freedom.
Oh, it's
Well,
not
the
even going to
slave
be
masters used the same argument. They said the person is their property, and they
Yeah.
used the person within the confines of their own land. So it was their property. So your argument is not consistent. That's
it's,
just
it's
Let,
please go
let's
on.
let's 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 go
let's
on.
go
Yeah.
on. Yeah,
Okay,
Let us.
yes, but
Because
Yeah.
to prevent anarchy,
okay,
that's the word.
to
To prevent
prevent
anarchy.
everybody from
Absolute
going
anarchy
loose.
means this person
Everybody's
just carry knife, you
killing,
just come on, they kill each
like
other.
Yes.
no
To
law.
prevent anarchy,
So
you
is
have a
that
law.
why the Europeans like kind of
I think that is why it was
came
a
up
construct from the very beginning to keep us all
in
together.
order?
Concepts like
Hey God,
how would you say such a thing?
That
I
statement,
don't
that
come out.
statement cannot be backed up. That is why the
Yeah,
Europeans came up with.
came up.
Where was it come up?
Oh
How
my
how did it
gosh.
come up?
Ah,
So
nah.
I think they just have an idea of the Europeans being like, maybe they had a
Forming
meeting
the tenets. Do you
and
think the
they're like
fathers were just writing?
how
This is go on.
they races down to revelation, and they're like, okay, we're going to use this to oppress these
The
people and
black
to
man.
unite them.
I don't
And
understand.
I know that there are tribal wars. Can you see something? He sort of suggested earlier that religion is why we don't respect ourselves, and that we have conflicts now. But for him to say that the white man introduced religion to resolve conflict suggests that there was conflict before the white man introduced religion. Do you
The
He's
understand?
very
goalpost is just
The
being
thing
like
secular.
that
this.
As in, he's just
the
doing
thing
any
that
doing anyhow.
the thing
Ah.
that is, you know, and
I think you know
and
what.
yeah,
Before we even go further, I think we should talk about the fact that he said you come to just a level of consciousness. Maybe I'll
Cognizance.
talk about mine in a nutshell. Then in cognizance. Then in and Divas, you talk about yours. I'm not a Christian because I grew up in a Christian home. With all due respect,
mm,
I'm not stupid. Okay, let's start from there. Um, Growing up, I remember as young as 7. I have those weird things where I remember silly memories from my very young age. As young as 7, I came back from Sunday school. I used my offering money to buy biscuits. I laid on my bed and then I asked myself, what if there is no God? What exactly is this thing? Am I being fooled? What if am I being scammed? What if there is no God? And then there came a point where it was strong on my heart, but I pushed past it. Now let's be clear. Let's be clear. I was not saved. I was not carrying Jesus on
mm,
my head. I was enjoying my life, right?
mm,
Those things happen. Then, um, in 200 level, 100 level, 200 level, I made up my mind. I said, if I find out this thing is not true, I will damn the consequences and refuse to be a Christian. I would damn
mm,
the consequences and refuse to be a Christian. I would just walk out on this entire thing called the Christian faith.
Yeah.
And then my roommate that year in 200 level, he came with a book, Evidence That Demands a Verdict by Josh McDowell. That book was my introduction to apologetics. The book is like 1,029 pages or so. And I read that book. He used C.S. Lewis 3L's arguments,
hell yeah,
then spoke about the uniqueness, the historicity of the Bible, everything about the Christian faith. And I began to say, okay, so this thing is not just believe and receive.
Steve. There's
Why
a
else would the Lord say, you shall love the Lord with all your
oh,
mind?
mind.
You think.
Mm.
If you can think, you can serve the
You can
Lord.
stand.
You think. So So for me, I began to study these things. And I'm a believer now, and I apologetically defend the Christian faith. Not because I was born in a Christian, I was born in a Christian home, and we practice Christian things. But I was not born again because I was born in a Christian home. Okay, and there are many other people that were
Yeah,
not born in Christian homes that are Christians today
they are
because the
Christians.
evidence they
Exactly.
found was so overwhelming that it
Yep.
would take more faith to be an atheist than it would take to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Please, I think we should drop that so that it's not like we are three zealous Christian brothers who are just trying to defend the name of Zion. Please, Daniel, maybe you say yours before Amy goes to
Let
his.
me say mine before Daniel. Let me say
Okay.
mine before
Go
Daniel.
ahead, Dini. Tell us
Um,
about your
as
origin story.
I'll start from I'll start from where Pastor Nelson ended, and it's this: God does not have grandchildren. A lot of people think once your parent is a Christian, is a child of God, then it automatically falls to you. Then you're also a Christian. No doubt, your environment will contribute to what you believe in some sense. But Christian, you are not a Christian because you were born into a Christian. And Christianity is something that it's a conscious belief on your own part on what Christ has done for you. Now let me come to my own story. Um, I think I have an inquisitive mind. Growing up, my dad was a pastor, and if I can remember, uh, when they'll tell us
Reverend
offering
James.
is God's money, they will tell us, "Oh, don't spend your offering because it is God's money." And I used to think, okay, if we're not spending the offering because it's God's money, and daddy is not spending his offering, definitely because he's a pastor, how then does God collect this money? So I used to think that maybe after every service, there'll
He'll
be a
come
boss
down
that
in the
will come
cool of
from
the
heaven.
day.
There'll be a boss that will come down from heaven, to give
In the cool of the
to
night.
collect the offering from my dad. And he will not give my dad because they will think then, I attended a Pentecostal church and anointing oil was something that they used. So then I was like, okay, maybe they will give God the offering and God will give them the anointing oil because the oil was different from every other oil. I'm like, okay, what separates this oil from this oil? Like those were my thoughts anyway. And even at a point, I was joking, but was kind of serious. I started to form my own religion when I was little. The name of the god was Kabrunde. Calm down.
I did
It was
too.
just.
I did too.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. It was just a one. Not like it was something. Not like I had my sacred scriptures. Not like it's not
It
like
won't
I
be
had
any
my own.
different from Islam.
See what's wrong with you people? No,
Ah,
wait. No,
please,
no.
please, you're on YouTube. Calm
I
down.
got you. I got you. Anyway, not like I had my own sacred scriptures. And this falls back to what I was saying. What if I wake up one morning and I start my own religion? Does that mean my religion? What if my religion actually
You are being
I'm
in
like,
touch
okay,
with your real
today my
self.
religion
Your real self.
exactly. What if today my religion is that I should kill people and sacrifice them to my deity? Things like that. So it's no longer about how you feel. Okay, there must be something objective here. Anyway, so when I got to school, I started asking. Anybody that knows me will know the story. If you know me well, I've shared the story so many times. I started asking questions, and for a while I became agnostic. I didn't want my faith to be something that my parents passed down to me. I wanted to know for a fact if there was a substance, like why was Christianity true? This same question that they're asking is something that we have also thought about. I don't think there's any Christian that hasn't thought about it. Some might suppress it and tell you because they don't have answers. They will tell you, "Oh, don't question God" and things like that. But I don't think there's any Christian who has asked this question and found an answer and stopped being a Christian. And those were my thoughts then. I was like, okay, why was Christianity true? If my children ask me, Daddy, why are we Christians? Will I just tell them, oh, it's because Daddy was a pastor? Or would I tell them something substantial? And that led to some years of being an agnostic, even though I was going into a Christian home and all that. And finally, I came across apologetics. Pastor Nelson also played. He always wonders why I don't mention it. But it's the truth. Pastor Nelson
Thank you.
also played.
You should be mentioning me. I played a key role in all this. I did. I introduced him to a few videos. From there, he
So
became the engager. But I mean, he wants to bite the fingers that fed him.
Pastor Nelson also played a huge role, or a little role. He had a cameo in my story. Anyway, Pastor Nelson also played a part in our
What is that Marvel guy's name?
Stanley.
those
Stanley, exactly.
Stanley. So and that led to me, and I found answers. I found why Christianity was true, which is the resurrection of Jesus. The resurrection of Jesus is, I think it was Abdul Mori that said, the resurrection of Jesus is a shield and a sword. The shield that defends Christianity from the attacks,
Yeah.
and it's a sword that basically cuts everything away and cuts everything open. So that was remarkable. That was something that changed me. The fact that when you look at every other religion, they are boasting about what you need to do before God. Christianity is unique in the sense that not only did Jesus rise, I mean English, yeah, so correct. Not only did Jesus rise from the dead, Christianity perfectly
Your
describes the
forefathers
state
didn't
of.
speak it, you're fine. You just go on. Say
Thank
it as you
you,
are.
thank
Say it
you.
as you feel.
Christianity perfectly describes the state of our heart as human beings and offers us the solution to our problems, which is sin. Every other religion, like Pastor Aaron would say, is like dead men trying to dress up and do what they're doing right. Christianity is unique, and I expected that Falz, as an intellectual, would actually study everything and come to conclude that okay, we can't all put everything in the same box.
Yeah.
Christianity is unique in itself. That okay, Jesus rose from the dead. If this is the only thing that separates it, it is what separates it.
Yeah.
There's no other religion that can brag. And the beautiful thing is, hey God, I don't want to preach. The
Let me
beautiful thing
come.
is, not only did Jesus rise from the dead, not only did Jesus rise from the dead, he offers, he offers, he offers humanity, the same thing, the same experience that he had, the same. He said, okay, if you believe in me, okay, let me unmute something else. If you believe in me, though you dead, you shall live. Though you're dead, rather, you shall live again. So this is what separates Christianity, and I don't want us to think that we're all serving the same God or we're all doing the same thing. Just because in church people are saying People have misrepresented the gospel. Like you said,
Yeah.
yeah, don't do tattoo, don't do this thing. Paul said that it's not in the do's and don'ts, it's not in the touch nots and handle not or taste nots. No, those
Yeah.
things they perish with the usage rather.
Yeah.
Christianity is in the fact that salvation is by grace through faith. It's not of
Yeah.
works. It's not by doing tattoo and all those things. Lest any man should boast.
Yeah.
This is salvation. This is the
Yeah.
Christian doctrine of salvation. Let me not
Tattoo
preach
that
a
we still
1 hour
do.
sermon on soteriology. Ah, so Daniel, please go
Yeah, I
ahead.
think on my end,
The-
the first thing I
Yeah.
want to add is that I don't want people to think that there is no place for teaching your children Christianity, like, or that
Yeah.
indoctrination is by definition a bad thing, right?
Thing.
If you have come to find truth in the resurrection, and that's why I hate that word construct that he has used for Christianity, because it's not a construct. If you teach your children history, you should,
Mm,
then Jesus is, as he fits right there, because it is a historical fact, his death and his
yeah.
resurrection. So there's nothing wrong. This is not to say that, oh, now that you've come to faith, now that you know why you've come, you've known why you believe what you believe, you shouldn't teach your children. You shouldn't raise them up from, like, as soon as my children learn to think, I'm going to teach them about fallacies. That's probably one of the
Yeah.
first things
Yeah.
they're going to learn, right? Teach them about the defense of the resurrection and all of that. So for me, my own origin story is not as dramatic as either of them. Um,
You do not have gods that you worship.
I did not have,
You don't create your own god.
I did not pray to my own God,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah, man of God.
From the womb, the Lord laid His
Hmm.
hands on me.
Emoji.
Anyways,
I lived with
is
you
it?
for 6 months, but go on.
Is it here you want to do that?
No, go on, go
Okay.
on.
Is it here?
Go
So
on.
both my parents were pastors, so there was a
Ah,
strong biblical background, like morning devotions, Bible studies.
Mm,
I did get to a point where I wasn't living consistently with my faith, right?
mm,
But at no point did I particularly question Christianity. I just didn't take it seriously. I was
mm.
going to be a Christian by mouth, but there was no real transformed life. I think it was until I got to college, and then
Which
my
college?
own,
Which
sorry,
that's
college?
why I opened my
Say it
eye. I was like,
now.
sorry,
Where
what?
are you?
sorry,
Which college?
until
Me,
I
I want
got,
to college.
I apologize. Until I
College
got
is
to
cold.
university, Covenant University, that
Mm,
I started to take my faith serious. But I didn't take it serious because I found it true. Weirdly enough, I always held it to be true. I think maybe growing up around miracles, clear demonstrations of power, I just assumed like this thing has to be true.
mm,
But I just decided to take it serious. But it was when I started to take it seriously, then I started to ask questions. So things that bothered me, for instance, the prosperity gospel, it bothered me greatly. I hated the idea
mm.
that every year we're praying for demons to die. And I remember asking my father, is it that they too have resurrection power? That was they every time. I said, didn't they die when we asked them to die and all of that? But then
Right.
as I started to learn more about my faith, because one of the things I used to pray for, then reading, you read Kenny Hagin, you listen to Papa, oh, God appeared to me at the age of 15 and all, and I'm like, God, I don't think if someone points a gun to my head and asks me if you don't deny it, just I will shoot you now. Will I be able to say that I truly believe this thing? And so at a point, I
Mm,
was asking God for some supernatural, like, appear to me too now. Am I not worthy? Come to me, show me, and all of that. Let me also have my own Pauline encounter. And that is when I started to get into apologetics, actually. And Dr. Ravi, may his soul is rest in peace. But
Rest in peace.
and I started to listen to him a lot, and it blew my mind that all of a sudden I'm like, wow, my faith
Yeah,
can be intelligently
Yes, like
defended,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, there was this new boldness that I don't care where I am in the world. The
exactly.
question is not even why it's like, why are you not a Christian? That is
Not
when
a
it's like,
Christian.
why are you
Mm,
not? Because when you see the arguments, the resurrection, like he was saying, the arguments for the resurrection, the boldness of the apostles, Christianity starting in the very land that Jesus was
yeah.
killed. It
Mm.
may yeah, yeah. It
It
so
has reference go to the truth.
that is where my journey into apologetics and being able to intelligently defend my faith started from. So that is my own story. It's not, yeah. So, like I said, based on all of that, we should also, everyone listening right now, be able to teach your children. Don't let them invent their own religions like our men of God here. from, from the point they can start to think and
Ah,
understand what is truth, let them start to show them that your faith is intelligible. Start to answer their
intelligent,
questions,
yeah.
because everyone as a kid we had
Correct.
questions. Who created God?
Yeah.
And then they just say,
Thank God,
don't
yeah.
worry, you don't. If someone could have answered and explained, if they say, oh, just rose from the dead, how do we know? Or why should I read my Bible? If someone could have
Yeah.
showed you how authentic the word of God was, how valid the resurrection was from a young
Hmm.
age. I think all these stories
Can
of
I
leaving the faith and they say I grew up and the church didn't have answers to my questions.
deconstruction?
It's not, yeah,
You
it's
went to
not
the wrong church.
necessary.
I
It's not necessary.
my
Yeah.
nephew, my cousin came back from the US. He and his sister with his parents, they came back, right? And then I was talking to him, and while I was talking to him, we started discussing about faith, you know, and he began to tell me that he's in school. In school, they teach them different kinds of faith. First of all, you are the only one being cute and thinking that
What
indoctrination is
now?
not going on. Everybody is
Exactly.
indoctrinating everybody into something,
Exactly.
even the movies.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So you saying that I'm going to let my kids choose. The movies are not giving them a choice. The songs they
Mm.
listen to is not giving them a choice. But that's by the way. So I was talking to my nephew. He was telling me all those things. I mean, his parents Catholic, chilled and all. And then, he was saying that they teach them different kinds of faith. They talk to them about Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, and a couple of all those things. And, I now sat him down and I began to logically analyze Christianity to him, why the resurrection is true, historical claims, Eusebius, Tacitus, them. I began to, and he sat down and he was listening to me and he said, wow, what you're saying really makes a lot of sense. He said,
Mm-hmm.
and he began to tell me that at some point he was actually considering Islam, because a couple of things, just disclaimer, I said nothing about Islam yet, right? He began to speak about all those things, and he said this makes a lot of sense. So a lot of people, they have questions, but nobody has given them answers yet.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
has told them why what you believe is what you believe,
It's what you
right?
believe, yeah. It's worth believing.
No, exactly, it's worth believing. Nobody has told them. So my nephew, for example, my cousin rather, it made sense to him because that was the first time somebody was explaining that to him. But
Yeah.
otherwise, nobody was. I have a nephew who is going to be 2 in January. He will love the Lord. You want me? Hey, please go on.
Let's go on.
All right,
Let's go on.
let's.
Yeah.
You know what? We're
Are
just
we going to
10
finish that
minutes
video though?
into.
I
We will not
doubt
finish
it.
it. We will
I
not
doubt
finish it.
it.
We will not
Maybe we'll
finish
have
it.
a part 2.
Maybe.
Ooh, I shake it off.
Check it. We don't break
I don't
it.
understand.
Concepts like
Oh.
marriage
Oh.
are originally Christian concepts. I mean, I think. I
Yeah,
mean, if
yeah,
not,
yeah.
everybody's free to
Okay.
argue.
This part vex me. This part vex me. Concept. You just. I'm sorry. I know we said. I know we said no slander, but wow, how far? Concept like marriage.
Just
I think
you
It,
it's just
get.
as
the.
it, as it feels it, it's just the talker. He didn't. Nah.
I
Then
also
when
think
he
the
says
nice
that,
thing
he
to
now
say
says
is
it's just a thought, everybody is free. No, is it true?
no,
Uh,
Is it
no.
true?
I
and I think
I
one of
also
the
think
problems
okay.
is when people, because of charisma and because they sound so common and just shouting, you think there is sense in
That
what
was
is
what
being
NF
said.
posted.
Yeah,
NF
no,
posted
they
that.
say shake
Yeah,
it, break it,
yeah.
and you too. You're like, they are making sense. Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I also I also think it's a reflection of um men love sex. Whether you like it, men love sex, and anything that seems to control that innate urge to do something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a sign of oppression.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do with my body.
Yeah.
I can have sex with whoever I want.
Yeah.
It's a sign of oppression.
Yeah.
The natural man sees God's law as oppressive. Rather, he doesn't see it as God
Restrictive. Yeah.
actually. Thank you. So
Yeah.
polygamy, you can marry as many women as you want. There's no limit to the
Mm.
numbers. So for you to not say, ah, monogamy, being faithful to one person, it's an
Yeah.
European concept. Not realizing that the people who were polygamous were actually people that were well to do. Polygamy was not something that was flowing all through West Africa, as Yoruba people are naturally polygamous, as though,
Yeah.
our forefathers, every one of them had 4 wives. Only,
Mm.
chiefs, only kings could marry as many wives as they wanted, you know. And again, I just remember what I wrote down earlier, and it's the
Mm.
fact that what Falz is basically suggesting is that the concept of monogamy was let me even look at it here. The
Was
Africans were polygamists, and monogamy was not natural to Africans. And Christianity introduced monogamy, which Christianity is a Western construct, as he said.
yeah.
But the question now is: did Westerners force monogamy upon scriptures, or does scripture in itself, independent of what Westerners thought,
Yeah.
practice, or prescribe? It's not what,
Yeah.
Westerners used it. Did scripture teach or prescribe
Yeah.
monogamy? If scripture
Yeah.
teaches monogamy and prescribes monogamy as true, then we ought to practice it. Westerners did not put monogamy to the scripture and say, okay, let us use it to oppress them. I think
Yeah.
the whole ideology is, is skewed and misconstrued. So, do you have anything to
That's
say?
good. That's good. No, I just want to
Okay.
what you said. Men love sex, but much more than that, human beings hate accountability. That's just
Accountability.
it.
Yeah.
Many times, and it's sad, many of these, when you see an argument that doesn't seem to make sense to try and dodge God or dodge organized religion, it's a pursuit of freedom, right? You don't
Freedom. Yeah.
want to be accountable. You don't want to have to answer for your actions. And I think that mindset in itself is the very problem of all of humanity, at least from a biblical standpoint, right? That, oh, what did the devil say in the garden? The day you eat of this tree, you will be as gods,
God.
knowing
Yeah.
good and evil.
Knowing
So
good
all
and
of a
evil.
sudden, it's no longer God that is the standard. We become our own standard of what is good and what is evil. And if that's the case, that's what causes everything we've seen today, whether it's sexual pleasure, whether it's the pursuit of pleasure in general, or
In
wealth or
general.
greed, whatever, as long as I don't have to answer for my actions. So anything that starts to feel that way, which Christianity, um again, if you misunderstand it, it might look like it's just a list of things to do to be on God's good side, which is
Mm.
not what he has pretty much evangelized or shared the gospel today. So I'm not going to repeat that. But yeah, that is where some people are simply atheists for that one reason. They do not want to be morally accountable to God. And that's sad. But yeah, because it doesn't change if God exists or not. Anyways, you're gonna still answer.
And Danny, when you think about it,
Yeah.
if you remember what Falz said earlier, doing good to the other person,
Yeah.
the question now would be: is faithfulness, being loyal to somebody,
Isn't it
a
a
good
good
deed?
thing? Exactly. Exactly.
So if you're saying, we can be polygamous and do
Yeah.
whatever we want, we can be
Yeah.
sexually free,
Yeah.
regardless of our commitment
Yeah.
to somebody, because whether you like it or not, sex is there's something about sex that is sacred, that is, you know,
You are
sacrilegious.
speaking
Like,
from
okay,
experience, I assume.
hey, hey,
Go
Hi.
on.
over you,
No, he needs
hey,
teaching us one or twos, but go on, sir.
not teaching one of you. I use God and beg you, please, please, please. Anyway, thing else now, I was just talking about how, Falz earlier, he said that, oh, doing good to the next person, doing good to your neighbor, just be good and all that. And I said, if is being loyal to somebody, whoever you're committed to, in marriage and all those things, is it a good deed? If it's yes, then you cannot say it was, where's Pastor Nelson? Now, wow.
You're hurting your partner by having
Exactly,
multiple, so
exactly.
it's
So for you to
affecting
say,
someone else. It's not just
thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just you. So you can't the Westerners by your own worldview, outside of the Westerners, outside of what you call construct, even though that's a lie. By your own worldview, you ought to even be, monogamous. You ought to be faithful to one person. If your partner thinks that okay, she doesn't want you, she will feel hurt because you are sharing the love that she wants with another person, then be nice to her. You get what I'm saying? So by
Yeah.
Falz
Yeah.
admission, he can't even his worldview is not consistent. Let me just
Yeah.
put it that way. His
Yeah.
worldview is not consistent. I think would round up by to eight, like maybe it's 7:50. So let's just watch for a few minutes
Yeah.
and we'll discuss if we're coming back or we should just end it here because I think we've done enough. I mean, but let's wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Monogamy
concept of
even.
marriage and monogamy there to ensure that men and women are well behaved. You know, so
That
you
we are
don't
not
just stand
gallivanting.
there,
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say, okay, man and
yeah.
woman, you be with this person for the rest of your life. You know, but at the end of the day, that's why I said
It's a valid
just be
construct.
good, because it's tough to say religion is a problem.
Okay.
Because religion definitely has huge advantages.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, we can also see how it is a problem. So that's why it's a very tricky
Yeah,
topic.
I think you say advantages, and you're also talking about there's the other side where it's not it's not the problematic side of it. Because I think for a lot of people, should I say it?
Say it now. Let it out, my.
I also think the purpose of this podcast was not to actually educate people, but to show a bias on religion. If you were really, if you really wanted to educate people, you ask, okay, what are the advantages of religion? Like before you come to the disadvantage, it seems like these people had. This is not. Hey, me, so okay, they are bad people. I'm not saying that. It's not a form of defamation on their character or anything,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
just think there's just this bias. There's this anti-religious bias that they have. So let me go ahead.
For a
idea.
lot of people, I think religion is a bit of a coping mechanism sometimes.
Okay.
In the sense that, and I don't think that is a negative thing anyway. In the sense that it's for some people you need something to believe in that is bigger than yourself in
Okay.
order to get
Okay.
through.
Do you need that
That's why I
personally?
said that's what keeps everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think you need that
Me
personally?
that's a very deep question.
Yeah.
Just to get through, when things are tough.
I feel like everybody finds themselves at some point, when they're going through some shit, right? They feel like, Jesus help me, or Lord God save me. Even some people that feel like they are not religious or they don't go to church, or they're not even Christian, they don't
Absolutely.
identify as being Christian, but they grew up in a Christian home, and then when they're going through shit, they find themselves saying, oh, blood of Jesus, oh, Lord, I need your
Or
help.
when someone thank God,
Exactly, they fall back into that, I need to believe something. And at their core, at their
No, but
very core,
are they falling back to I need to believe something, or are they falling back to a routine and a language that they were raised with?
it's not a routine. It's not a routine.
All the that they are saying. Do you have anything to say, Daniel?
No, I actually don't even. Nothing here seems necessary to comment on because, at least from me, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think it's just indicative of the fact that there's something innate in the man to worship something higher than him,
Mm,
And the question is not about if it's a subjective reality. Sorry, the question is it a subjective reality or an objective
yeah.
one? Just like I created my own God at that point in time. The
Mm,
question now would be, is my description of this God, does it fit the
mm,
God of the universe? Does it
mm.
match the object that we're calling God? You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I think like we've established, it doesn't even seem like these people are on a quest for truth on in this
truth,
podcast. It
exactly,
doesn't.
exactly.
It's more tell me what you think, and that's fine. Which if that's what you're doing, no one has to even listen to you in the first place.
They should call Christian thinkers to come and talk on things like this.
So,
If you
so
are
so
really on the
yes,
quest of truth,
that's if they were actually trying to find truth, they would call,
call
even if
exactly
it's
Peter
a Christian, a Muslim,
Johnny
let's
Drew.
talk about because a Christian and a Muslim, because those are the two most represented
Yeah,
religions in the country, and say, oh,
yeah,
let's
exactly.
talk about it. Let's talk about it. But the fact that what bothers me is that if you wanted to just share your thoughts, do what you want. I really don't care. But when you're passing it off as truth, it becomes
Uh-huh.
problematic, especially with the kind of influence you have, right?
Yeah,
Where people listen to you. And this is another problem. It's called, is it alluding to false authority, right?
yeah.
Appealing to false authority, where people
False
assume
authority.
that because you are skilled in a certain area, you are skilled,
You cut
we
across
can
dots.
trust you out in other areas. So
Trustworthy.
you
Yeah.
have a doctorate in rocket science, in biology, and all of that. Therefore,
Mm,
I should listen to your opinions in religion. It doesn't work that way, right? If you're
yeah.
making, because clearly Faust has some form of authority in certain fields, and you'd give it
Yeah.
to him, right? But clearly he has shown that he is no expert on the matter of religion. He has, this
Not just
podcast
religion,
just
history. History.
history, religion, and probably philosophy, because he's made
Philosophy.
too
Yeah.
many errors in his thinking. But yeah, so I want us to also bear that in mind. Just because someone is influential or smart or intelligent in certain areas, and it's general problem of our generation, where because of social media, because of access to platforms, people can present themselves as experts on any topic they feel like. And just because they have
Mm,
a large following, anything they say about anything starts to ring like truth. No one is going to ask, "Oh, do you know enough to even comment on this issue?" Right?
yeah.
So yeah, it's a big problem. But yeah, those are just my thoughts.
Pastor August said
All right.
something very profound. He said, there is nothing about fame that imparts wisdom. Can you guys hear me?
Mm.
Ah,
Yeah, we can hear you.
emoji, the line is pretty bad.
Ini,
I
is
can
it
hear
bad on
you.
your end?
Can you hear me? No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you very well. Let me repeat what I said. I
Okay.
said, Pastor August said something profound. He said, there is nothing about fame that imparts wisdom.
Mm, yeah.
There is nothing about fame that imparts wisdom. You see, during the NSAS protest, right, a lot of people's faiths, it's very hard for me to have a faith. If I have you as a faith, you are a faith, right? A lot of people's faiths were saying a lot of junk. And I was surprised they were surprised because the person is your faith on a particular subject matter, right? The fact that the person is a really good musician, the fact that the person is a really good artist, the fact that the person is a really good public speaker, and all that
Mm,
does not mean that that the person has all-round success on every subject matter.
mm,
All right.
yeah.
I've always known Falz to have problems with faith,
Yeah.
religion, Christianity, and things like that. And I've seen him say, they have their own use and all those things. And I've seen him talk about his stance on the LGBTQ thing. That's a discussion for another day. I think we should even have a part two because in the latter part of the video, they talk about pastors being rich, having money, private jets, and whatnot. That's a
Yeah.
very interesting part to discuss about. So I think we should come back and talk about that part two another time.
All right.
But
Let's
yeah,
let's let's
there's
just.
nothing about fame that imparts wisdom. If your faith says something, remember it's about truth. You see, we are in this place in society where truth has become very subjective. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of what works for you. So you
For
see,
you.
Paul saying stuff like he says like marriage. He says, I don't know if everybody has their own thoughts. I mean everybody freedom of it's not about freedom, is it true?
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's true, then let me talk to you about it. If it's a lie, or if you believe it is true, then you should
Mm-hmm.
not be afraid of when I bring what you think is true under scrutiny.
Yep.
You should not be afraid, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, I
Mm,
think the entire conversation still has to go back to we need to go what is true and what do we
mm,
hold to be true. Sentiments aside, is this true? If it's not true, let it fall away. If it's
Yeah.
true, let's hold it to be true.
Yeah.
And
you
if
know,
it is
to
true,
add
we push it as truth.
to what's saying. Let me know.
I can hear you.
I can.
Okay. All right. Just some days ago, I was having a discussion with the cousin of a friend who happens to be a Muslim. So apparently, I'm now consultant evangelist. You can't do it. I'm putting my market there. When you can't do it, call on me anyway. So I was having this discussion with the guy, and the guy was telling
See,
me, he said, oh, he was just doing because I said, oh, we should have a call instead of text. I just feel like okay, it's better to call because we can focus on one topic rather than texting and everybody's just bombarding and bullying each other with words and all that. He said, "Oh, he was just doing it for his cousin. Like he doesn't really want to have a conversation." And I said,
Oh wow.
"Don't say you're doing it for." Oh, I didn't tell you.
No.
But he said he was just doing it for his cousin. The conversation was just having it because of his cousin. And I said, "Don't say that. You're doing it for me. You're doing it for yourself. Because if you believe what you believe is true, and I'm wrong, truth is what we should go after. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we can never go wrong with truth. Truth
Yeah.
is rooted in the person of God. When it comes to the truth of God, we must go about it with every energy that we have. We can
Yeah.
never go wrong with truth. You know, the truth might come with its consequences. Maybe you get ostracized, people might not like you. But who cares about them when God is in the picture? You know, who
Yeah.
cares about them when God is in the picture? And I
Damn
said,
you!
don't. I said, don't say you're doing it for your cousin. Do it for yourself. You know, do it for me. We're doing it because we want to know God and want to
Yeah.
know Him from an objective standpoint, not because of what you've been told. We're just going to
Yeah.
examine it together. And the boy
Yeah.
has not, even after a long discussion, the boy has not replied me. Please pray for me. Anyway, um, let me play the video and we'll end the next, let's say,
I think I should,
two.
Are you sure we should
Can
play
we? Should
more?
we?
Maybe let's have a
yeah,
part two. Let's
I
not
think
rush it.
we should pause it.
Let's
Let's
have
just
a
Okay.
give
part two.
final thoughts, and yeah, we'll come back to it.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll
Final
come back
thoughts.
to it.
We start with
We
Maybe
said
you.
a
maybe
lot of
wait. Should we announce the date now, or it will be discussed for a part two?
it to be
It will be
discussed.
discussed,
It
though.
has to be
TBD.
discussed.
TBD. All right, Daddy Babs. Let's
Final
start
thoughts.
with you, sir.
Closing
Round up
remarks.
for.
All
Closing
right.
remarks.
No, Allah. I think one of the major reasons we held this Avengers meeting is to show or to try to show how we should think. Right? It's very
Mm,
easy to listen to all has been said, and a lot of things will fly over your head such that you now start to agree subconsciously because it looks like the person knows what he's saying. It looks like they've done their research, which clearly they haven't, and all of that. But when it comes to, especially like Ini was saying, matters of truth, one of the reasons we did this is so that you learn how to pick apart things that are being said. Oh, you said
mm,
this, but you didn't provide any backing. I can't trust you. Oh, what have you said that is verifiable and all of that is to
mm,
expose things like that. Things like secular reasoning or like appealing,
mm,
like because of the source of a thing, you're already discrediting it. All those kind of things. We wanted to push it out there, and I'm sure we've
mm,
done that to a good extent. What I want to say, and we'll talk more about that next week, is specifically when it comes to the application of being a Christian. They're going to go on a lot about fanaticism, sharing your faith, and all of that. And I just want to remind everyone that when you say Christian, Muslim, these are words that have definitions. The
mm,
definition of a Christian, right, is someone who believes the doctrines of Christianity, one of which, right, you read in Romans, be fervent in spirit, serving the Lord.
serving God.
The Christian is expected to be fervent. The Christian is expected to be bold about their faith. The Christian is, like I said,
Mm,
if anyone asks you, be ready to give a
ready to
hopeful
give a
faith
defense.
that you have, right? The Christian is expected to be all of those things. So there's no such thing as I'm a Christian, but I do my own on the looks. I don't want to get, I don't, by definition, that is not consistent with the body of what we know to be Christianity. So don't fall into that trap of, oh, let everyone believe what they believe. I'll do my own, you do your own, we're fine. If you truly believe the doctrine of Christianity, okay, let me take a step back. Because every religion makes truth claims, it means that by extension, every religion says something about other religions. That's what people don't realize.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if I
yeah.
say that Fanta is the best drink in the world, I'm also by extension saying Coke is not the best drink in
Not
the
the
world.
best
So
drink.
if
Yeah.
as a Christian I say Jesus is the only way to the Father, I have at the same time said that every other way is not a
We
way.
not.
People need
Yeah.
to realize that there's no such thing as a relativist Christian or a Christian who believes that other religions are equally valid. You are not a Christian. You're not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
come to terms with that. and start to really to say, if I am a Christian, I am a Christian. This is what I believe. This is why I believe it. And if I truly believe Jesus is the way to the Father, then I also believe that people need to know this. So I would also be bold about my evangelism. I'll be bold about what I believe about sin, about sexuality, about whatever.
Mm.
It is by definition what it means to be a Christian. So don't fall into that trap that they're going to push. We're going to see that, especially in the part two, that, oh, they don't care what you believe as long as you are not vocal, as long as you're not fervent, and they guide it as fanaticism. The Christian is by definition a fanatic. That is what I would end
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Pinels, the floor is yours.
Okay, so let me say this thing. Vox populi is not Vox do. The voice of the people is not the voice
People
of
is
God.
not the. You did drop
Please,
Latin. You did drop Latin.
please.
Baba Latin.
Let's be clear. Okay. I mean, those of us who use social media like Twitter, you find many times you found out that everybody is shouting about something, and you now go to the root of what they're shouting about, and you're like, there is nothing here worth shouting about. Like, it's a
Yeah.
matter of personal preference. Anyways, so when you see things
Are
like
you going somewhere, sir? Are you going somewhere, sir? Are you going somewhere?
close
With
your
all due
eye,
respect,
close your
are you going
eye.
somewhere?
No, that's not a careless statement.
Hey!
Anyways, if you don't get it,
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
okay. So the voice of people is not the voice of God, right? Being a believer has a meaning. Being a believer has a meaning. If you are a believer, then definitely there is what you believe. And if you make truth claims, if you are not pushing it or bold about it, then you really don't believe it to be true. I think it was Pella that said it. I heard it on Living Waters. Pella said he has no respect for a man who does not proselytize. He
Yeah,
has no
yeah.
respect for a man who does not proselytize.
He's an
Because
atheist.
how
You have
much
to put it there, self.
he's an atheist, just to put that in perspective, he's an atheist. Because
Yeah.
how much do you have to hate someone to know that they are going to be doomed for all eternity, yet you don't care?
Yeah.
Yet you don't care. Come on. I mean,
Yeah.
that is even the same reason why, well, some atheists, because many atheists don't really believe that there's no God, but that's by the way. That's the reason why some atheists also proselytize, because they believe that what they believe is true. So
Yeah.
maybe you should take this to be true as well, right? So if you're not bold about your claims, if you're not really sharing your views to eternity, to sexuality, to life, to all these things, you're just saying, well, let's do what we want to do in our corner. First of all, you are disobedient to Jesus. Okay. Then secondly, you really don't believe what you believe. And finally, the last thing I'm going to say is what I echoed at the beginning. Be careful when it comes to the voice of the people. The voice of the people is mostly the voice of the flesh, the voice of the fallen
Mm,
nature, the
mm.
voice of the enemy that seems to bring a false, I'm going to use to say my double quote, a false consensus. We are all saying the same thing.
The same
We
thing.
all
Mm.
believe the same thing. It's
Yeah.
all about peace. Ravi said something. He said every faith is fundamentally different and superficially the same.
Superficially. Yeah.
Fundamentally, we are
Yeah.
different. And when I say every faith, I'm talking of worldview, whether it is the one that says truth is relative. If you say truth is relative, is that statement true
Mm.
Is it
or is
relative
relative?
to you?
Is
Yeah.
that relative to? Okay, so the thing is this: wherever you are in the world as a believer, know what you believe, know why you believe what you believe, know what is true, and know why you hold it to be true. Okay, know why you hold it to be true. Learn to defend your faith. This is my last point. Defend your faith outside Christianity, outside the Bible, rather. Because Frank Turek said something. He said, Christianity is what gives credence to the Bible, not the Bible. If there was
Yeah.
no Bible, Christianity will still be true. Because before
Yeah.
the New
Yeah.
Testament was written, people were Christians. After it was written, people were still Christians. Okay, so it is Christianity that gives credence to the Bible, not vice versa. All right. So,
By far.
as a believer, know what you believe, know why you believe. When society comes shouting, take a step back and look at everything through the lens of your worldview. Christianity is not just a faith, it's our worldview. It's not just that thing we see, it is that lens by which we see every other thing. Arigato.
Mm. Thank you, thank you. So I might to drop my own closing remark.
Yes,
All
now.
right. So
You can just read us a surah.
well, I think I'll just say this, that the battle of ideologies, especially in an age where information is everywhere, where you just like this
Ah, at the
ideologies
end.
can
Okay.
Christians be aware of the fact that we're in a battle of ideologies. And the thing about ideologies, there are false ideologies and true ideologies. You just need to be able to think through them and separate the wheat from the chaff. And this is just to employ Christians to actually think more on things rather than just respond emotionally and just say anything. Critically think on things. It's not everything you see in social media that has a lot of retweet and likes that is true. Just take, like Pastor Nelson said, just take a step backward and even start by actually applying the claim to itself. Like, on what ground is this true? What is this person saying? What does this person provide as as evidence to what is he or she is saying? There's this book I suggest everybody should read, Tactics by
Greg Kuku.
it, it basically just helps you understand how to share your faith, and also when you're someone questioned how
Yeah, we'll
were
get to that
they
when you're done.
Christians
It's
in the
based on what Pinel said
okay
about Christianity existed before the Bible, by which he meant the New
okay
Testament. But we'll get to that. Yeah.
okay um where was I? Yes, it helps you share your faith, know how to answer objections. Like, okay, how do you know? Maybe someone makes a claim like Falz said, Christians. Uh, Let me even think of one of his claims about. Okay, for example, Africans being polygamous. Okay, how did you arrive at that conclusion, Mr. Falz?
What do
What
you mean
evidence
by
do you
that?
have? Exactly, things like that. So well, for me, my closing remark is that God has given us a mind, and our brains are not in defiance with God when we use them. Because in the kingdom, a lot of people, I remember when I was out with somebody and I was explaining why I got interested in apologetics, and she was like, well, do we really need to be logical with God? And I'm like, the very concept of logic is rooted in God. The fact
Love
that
him
we
with
can
all your
say
mind.
a exactly, the fact that we can say 1 plus 1, the fact that there are laws, that you can trust something and is going to come down, the fact that there are
Mm-hmm.
rules that govern life proves that there's a mind behind the world as we see it, and we must honor God with our minds. And I think it was in Greg Koko's book Tactics. He said one of the first defense that we have against falsehood or heresy is our minds. Once we can start to think through things and say, okay, that doesn't make sense. Once we can start to think through things, we've won the battle like 90%. So um yes, we should use our minds. We should use our intellect to worship God. It's not just by yes, there's part of spiritual devotion and all that, but also God give you a mind to use it. It's not your mind is not the devil's creation. Questions are legitimate. When we all have kids, when they ask questions like who created God, we should not say you are becoming an unbeliever, this young boy, things like that. I think I can't share the story yet. I can't share the story yet. But yeah, we should not shun people's questions. Let's create a safe space where we can logically think about this. This doesn't mean we will have answers to every question. And like we said earlier, rather, that Christianity is true because of the resurrection. Christianity is not true because we have all our answers. We have all our questions answered. Like, oh, did Adam have a belly button? That doesn't matter. It doesn't make Christianity false or true if I don't have an answer. Christianity, and this, maybe I should even answer the question the lady asked: how were they have before the Bible? Well, Christianity, just the Bible describes how people became Christians. The New Testament described how they became Christians, and they were not Christians because they had a book that they were reading. They were Christians because of an event, a single event that could be
Historical events. Yeah.
A historical event, exactly. Jesus rose from the dead. Even if we don't have the Bible, outside of the Bible, the event still occurred. The Bible is just, of course, you believe the Bible is, hey, the devil is a liar. Anyway, outside of the Bible, we believe that. The devil is a liar. We're almost on my journey. Yes, we believe that Jesus rose. I don't forget what I was going to say.
Outside of the Bible, we believe.
Outside of the Bible, the resurrection is still true. The Bible is just New Testament. It's just like a biography of the life of Jesus. Of course, we believe that it's inspired and all that, but it's still like a biography of Jesus that we can learn from his life. So even without the New Testament, Christianity is still true. I think that's what P. Nelson meant by how they were Christians. Someone said after I was mocking P. Nelson, well, P. Nelson is a man of God. I should not be mocking men of God.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's it from me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
sayonara.
Yeah.
So
So
watch out for a
So-
part 2.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you for. Let's just wait for like a couple of devotion has started. I would say we should read comments from people because they're still
or questions or
questions. Yeah, should we leave room for questions or till the next, because question would
I think part
really
two,
leave
part
for
two, part 2.
questions.
Let's go.
probably
Part 2.
Part two, yeah,
Bring your
exactly.
questions. We'll probably start with questions and then we'll continue.
P. Nelson, go and get
Just leave your
questions.
questions as comments. Leave your
Yes.
questions as
Yeah.
comments under this.
Yeah.
I'll
In the
get
comments,
back
yes, in the
response.
comments,
I'll pray
not
about
the live view, like comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
Thanks for
let's
chilling with the big boys.
shout out to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Today we had
What
over
bam
60.
bam.
60 people. Yeah. So thank you guys. Should we play the Avengers team as a out? Let me play.
Feel free. Feel free.
I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind.
All right.
Who knows? Next one we're gonna have Team Holland.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
All right. All right. In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Spirit, we are signing out. I am David in Olua. That's P. Nelson and Daniel Bowdes, all the way from the United States, and P. Nelson in Agbara. And I.
I'm not that. I'm not that for real.
Thank you. Thank you. Signing out. Sign out. God bless you.
Oh my God.
All right,
So
guys,
Ernest
thank
raised a
you
good
very
point
much.
so that they won't copyright our
Are we
video.
paying for the video? We're not monetizing the video now.
Okay.
Are we? All right, guys. Bye, everybody.
Monetizing for what?
Like if you played
I'm
the
just
soundtrack,
admitting.
would they now say copyright infringement? They'll now ban the video. I don't know how it works. So.
All right,
All
guys.
Don't
Yeah. Yeah.